Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, we're going to be continuing our series of Is This Spirit for You? In this video, we'll be focusing on Thunderspeaker. Now, Thunderspeaker is going to start with 2 presents on your starting board, 1 in each of the 2 lands with the most Dahan. The playstyle, it has a keen interest in where the Dahan are, partly because so many of its starting powers work them. Presents can move along with Dahan as Dahan are moved. When picking new power cards, it is often you often would like to take Dahan-centric power cards. It's a moderate complex spirit, heavy offense, even more control, little fear, less defense, and no utility. I think this summary of powers here is pretty inaccurate. I agree, it is a very high offensive spirit, but I think this control is definitely a lot less, and the fear is probably less than this as well. Defense I think is okay, so I'd probably make the offense bar like this. Control, I'd probably put it something like this. And then I would make the fear bar even smaller. Flipping the spirit board over, Thunderspeaker has 2 special rules. Ally of the Dahan. Your presence may move with Dahan. Whenever a Dahan moves from one of your lands to another land, you may move 1 presence along with it. Sworn to victory. For each Dahan destroyed by invaders ravaging in a land, destroy 1 of your presence within 1 range. Now, this special rule is just straight up thematics. It's a pure, it's just completely negative for Thunderspeaker. Looking at the growths, we are a 0 to 1, and that means we're placing no presence on Reclaim. We have a 2 presence placement option and a 1 presence placement option. Our Reclaim is going to get us 2 power cards, so our Reclaim is very, very, very strong on this spirit. And then our G3 gives us a ton of energy with +4. Looking at the tracks, we end at 3-4. Energy track is very mediocre. A lot of times I never touch the Fire, Sun, or 3 energy. And the bottom track is pretty strong, giving us access to 4 plays, 3 plays fairly early, and this nice Reclaim 1. Thunderspeaker has 2 innates. The left innate, Gather the Warriors. It is a slow power 1 range. You have 4 air, you may make it fast. And then you get to gather up to 1 Dahan per air, and then push up to 1 Dahan per sun. And this innate, or this threshold of this innate, messes players up all the time. So I'm going to talk about that right now. So let's say I have some presence here, and I have 2 air and 2 sun. I read the innate from top to bottom. It says gather up to 1 Dahan per air. So if I'm choosing my B4 here, I can gather up to 2 Dahan into that land. And that's because I have 2 air, and then I get to push 1 Dahan per sun. So I'd be able to push 2 Dahan, and that's occurring from B4, not from B3. Very common mistake. So I can push these Dahan like this, and then of course I can move presence with each of those Dahan. Thunderspeaker has quite a lot of mobility via this left innate, and it actually contrasts quite nicely with Hearth Vigil, who's very limited in mobility. Looking at the right innate, it says Lead the Furious Assault. It's a slow power, 0 range. If you have 4 air, you may make it fast. You get to destroy 1 town for every 2 Dahan in target land. And then if you have 3 Dahan and Threshold, you can destroy 1 city. And it's 1 city for every 3 Dahan. It's very rare you're going to have 6 Dahan in a land, but I'm sure someone will probably make that happen. Looking at the 4 power cards you have Words of Warning. It's a 1 energy fast targeting a Dahan, 1 range. Sun, Air, Animal, defend 3, and then the Dahan get to ravage simultaneously with invaders. We have Sudden Ambush. It's a 2 energy fast card, 1 range, Fire, Air, Animal. You may gather a Dahan, and then each Dahan destroys an explorer. Voice of Thunder is a 0 cost Sun, Air, slow power, 1 range, push up to 4 Dahan, or generates fear. And finally, Manifestation of Power and Glory. The 3 energy slow, Sun, Fire, Air, 0 range, targeting a land with Dahan, 1 fear, and then for each Dahan, Each Dahan is dealing damage equal to the number of presence in target land. That means if you have a land, let's say 3 presence in this land, and 2 Dahan, each Dahan gets to deal 3 damage. This is essentially your ultimate, your nuke. It's essentially a major power in its power level. Though you're actually going to get mixed opinions about this card. A lot of players will say it's completely busted, broken, all of that. And my opinion is it's actually fairly balanced. I think Thunderspeaker is on the weaker end, surprisingly. Um, and this is a card that allows it to kind of keep up with the rest of the other spirits. Now, is this spirit for you? Thunderspeaker is all about Dahan mobility and damage. If you like the puzzle of moving Dahan around, using those Dahan for your damage effects like Manifestation and your Right Innate, you're going to love this spirit. If you hate playing with Dahan, if Dahan are a piece that you would rather not deal with, this is not a spirit to play. It's a spirit with very few defensive tools and is going to rely a little bit on drafting to find other defensive tools as well as on element cards. Okay, looking at the 2 aspects, we have 2 aspects introduced in the NI expansion. I'll first talk about Tactician. So Tactician is going to replace this G3, and it's going to give us a power card, a 1 presence placement, 1 energy, and Sun Fire. It's very similar to this option, so you're essentially losing 3 energy, but you're going to gain a card and an element. Um, in terms of how does it affect how the spirit plays, my guess, so I've never really played this aspect, but my guess would be you're going to be very starved in energy. So playing Manifestation is going to be a lot more challenging when you can't just get +3 energy. I wonder if that's going to force the spirit more on top track. Not entirely sure. Now, the 1 power card gain, you'll probably rely heavily on that. So my guess is if you pick up another defend or a disruption tool, you'll probably be playing those cards more and less Manifestation. Okay, looking at the other aspect, we have Warrior. And this is an Incarna aspect. You're going to replace one of your presence with the Incarna. You then get to add a Dahan to that land. You're going to lose Manifestation and you will gain Call to Bloodshed. When your actions move the Dahan, and so when your actions move Dahan and they bring the Incarna, you may deal 1 damage at the Incarna. So it's essentially like this Incarna is your champion. You're also losing this Right Innate, and you gain this new Right Innate. It's a slow power that must target your Incarna land. You generate 1 fear if buildings are present, then 1 damage. And then if you have the second threshold, you get to deal 1 damage per Dahan. This is an aspect that is going to reduce your offensive potential because you're losing that Manifestation. And it's going to, I mean, overall, I don't know really what to say. I mean, this is an aspect that I don't enjoy playing. I've played it a couple times. I wouldn't recommend it unless you really like playing Thunderspeaker, and you're looking for a new way to play the spirit. But in my opinion, it just makes the game significantly harder for you, and it doesn't really change up what you're really doing. You're still just throwing Dahan around, using damage powers to clear invaders. But now, instead of relying on Manifestation, you rely on pushing this Incarna and the Dahan, and you're going to rely on the innate plus this power card. But overall, it plays, in my opinion, very similar to base Thunderspeaker. If you like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I will see you guys in the next video.